One day you're on cloud, you're flying high, and the next minute you're in a hospital bed, and it just happens instantly. And if you're not prepared, you're going to have a real problem. These guys are young in business. I don't want anybody taking advantage of them.
So I think if anyone is in this, mindset of, should I leave it to my kids or how do I succeed? It's just walk with them.
Think outside your business. Don't think that's the be all and end all. And I've had clients say to me, I'll die behind this desk, or I'll die behind the wheel of a truck. Oh, no.
Welcome to today's episode, and today I have the whole team from a company, okay? And you're going to be talking about business succession planning. It's actually a whole family, so I'm proud of myself for getting them here. And so I have Mia, Ben, and Terry Johnson. So thanks everyone for joining us today.
You're very welcome, Victor.
Thanks, Victor.
Nice. So today we're going to be talking about business succession planning. And now I know lots of people don't really think about that, but this is a group that I think they've actually done that very well. So I'm hoping to pick their brains and see what I can learn, and obviously help people out there to know that this can be done as well. And after that, feel free to reach out to myself or them if you have any questions, because 1 hour is not enough for this long years of planning. So before we dive into things, I just want everyone to tell us a bit about themselves, and any hobbies or anything you want the audience to know about. We'll probably start with Ben, then we'll walk down this way.
Yeah, sure, Victor. Well, for those listening, I'm Ben Johnson, son of Terry, sister of Mia. And I've been working in our family business for, I think, coming on 8 years, since I was 17 years old. So I sometimes make the joke to people that I have a beard now, but I absolutely didn't when I was trying to talk to clients many, many years ago. But yeah, love what we do. I always say that the best part of my job is being able to work with my family. So as much as we love what we do, I think we love how we do it just as much. Yeah.
Nice. Any hobbies?
Oh man, too many to count. I just finished renovating my house. So I've been on the tools a fair bit lately. So I'm a professional homeowner. Okay. Not a tradie. I can't call myself a tradie yet, but I'm not a handyman. So I'm somewhere in between there, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. That's good. Mia?
Yeah, my name's Mia. I'm the female in the Keyman team.
Keeping everyone calm, like boys calm down.
I think it's maybe the opposite way. But I've been at Keyman for about 7 years now. I did have a little stint at Keyman when I was in high school for a couple of years. My job was organizing the office and ordering the PDSs. But that was a great, little intro into the industry even back then. I never thought I'd end up working in the family business, but I think it's been the biggest blessing, the biggest unexpected blessing, because I definitely didn't plan on coming into the business. I studied something completely different. So it was a very, very happy accident, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Nice. Definitely good when it unexpectedly happened, but then you're happy with it. I think that's the key thing. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. Any hobbies that we should?
Oh, I think my hobby at the moment, I'm really enjoying. This is very random.
Yeah,
I really love making all the birthday cakes.
Okay.
For all of our family birthdays. That's been my thing sort of since the start of the year. Just trying different recipes, different flavors. That's been fun.
Okay, nice. Well, we'll allow Terry tell us how the birthday cake is going after he tells us about himself.
All right, well, thanks, Victor. Well, I'm Terry. I've been in the financial services industry for a long time, about 30 years now. Prior to that, I was an electrician. So I'm a tradie, so I know all about hard work, so it's not all sitting behind a computer. I'm probably the most blessed man in the world. I've got two of the most incredible financial advisors in the industry that happen to work with me. Just so grateful. We specialize in insurance, and that's my passion, especially for small business owners, small to medium business owners. I just really love helping them out so much. I've had a great ride in the industry, and we're going to talk about business succession planning, and I'm keen to share what we've done in our business.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, 2 questions. Hobbies.
Well, I'm an avid golfer. My handicap is still 4 somehow, which is not a bad handicap for an old bloke, and but I really love my golf so much. Apart from that, I live on some acreage, so I'm forever looking after the place. I love doing little projects and keeping myself really busy doing that.
Yeah.
And I love traveling.
Yeah.
and,
Amazing.
and being a husband
Yeah.
and a father to 4 wonderful kids.
Okay. So first question is for you, Terry. I think people really want to know this because some people don't think about it, and I don't know if you thought about it 30 years ago when you started. What does business succession planning mean to you and the family?
Yeah, that's a great question. Business succession, what does it mean to me? Well, it pretty well means everything. So I've had an unusual past. My father owned a small business. He owned many small businesses. Not all were successful. Okay, so he went bankrupt twice in his life. And as you're a kid and you're growing up through and you see the financial pressure that's put under people that aren't succeeding in business, it really drives you. The first thing is it makes you want to work for yourself because it's in your blood. Small business is in your blood. And I found it really difficult to work for people. I really found it difficult. I didn't want to put my future in the hands of somebody else. So I don't want to get too dark too soon, but
You can go as far and as deep as you want to go.
It's a funny story how I ended up in the insurance business, but one of the big key drivers was the fact that my dad worked really hard. Like, he couldn't work any harder than my dad. Unfortunately, he wasn't very successful. God rest his soul. At age 43, he died of a heart attack. He dropped dead on the spot, and he left the family with a huge amount of debt at the time. This is back in 1988. And there was a forced sale of our house to pay back the creditors, and we lost our business at the same time. And because we all worked in the family business, at the same time we also lost our jobs. So overnight, I could see the impact of what can happen to a small business, particularly a business. You know, in small business, we put our hearts and souls into our businesses. It's not easy. So for me, what I learned was, if I'm going to start a business, I need to know what the end result's going to be. I read this amazing book, and it's called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And in this book, he talks about one of the habits is starting with the end in mind. So if you're going to work really hard, you damn well better have a purpose. I've seen too many people in our industry in particular, and a lot of my small business clients, that just work and work and work. There's no end goal. They just work to survive almost. And they take on such enormous pressure. And I just think if you're going to work, you better work with a purpose, with an end goal in mind. So that was my thinking. And I was just so blessed when the kids came along, because I had a sneaking suspicion that one day they might take over. So I planted the seed very early. So yeah, business succession, really, if you're going to work your butts off and put everything at risk, have an end goal in mind.
Amazing. Yeah. I think that's very important. Thanks for sharing that story. It will definitely explains why you love insurance and, why you do what you do. And I think many people can think of business succession as, okay, well, passing it on to the family, but it can just be even passing it on so you can help the family out, But in your case, it was passing it on to the family and getting them involved, which is good.
When you think about it, Victor, the reason we are in business is for what? It's for our kids. It's to have a better life, a better future, and to make things easy for your kids. So, if you're going to go through all that struggle and heartache and run a business in Australia, which is pretty difficult, like I said, you better have a plan in mind.
Yeah. So I guess from both your perspectives, how has that journey been? Did you sense that was trying to do something like that? How has that been over the past few years? We'll start with you, Mia.
Oh. Well, I distinctly remember one specific conversation that the three of us had at the back of our place. We were sitting around the table, the three of us, and I think that was the first time when Dad had sort of suggested, would you guys consider maybe one day taking over the business? And I remember at that point in time, it felt like something so far into the future. It felt like something that was like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 years down the track, and just seeing how quickly it all sort of unraveled. It's been a really nice transition, I'd say. It's been sort of a soft transition.
Okay.
It wasn't something that sort of shook us, and we felt very prepared for it, in the sense that for, I guess, the years leading up to the succession plan kicking in, we really knew the business and we really knew the clients, and I think that made everything so much easier, and I think helped Ben and I to feel a lot more confident taking over. So it's been yeah, it's been great so far.
Yeah, amazing. Yourself, Ben?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I think we are probably very blessed to have had is we really do and have done everything together for a very long period of time. So, even working for Dad from a young age, he really involved us in kind of every part of the business. I literally remember on my first day, he said, look, this is how we review clients, make it better. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't even know what a review is. What is a client? Like at this point, I didn't even really understand, what he did. And through this journey of, you start off learning the basics. It's like, okay, Dad's there. And then it's, hey, come sit in on this meeting. And it's like, oh, I'm sitting in on a meeting with Dad. And then you kind of progress to this point where you realize that, and it sounds a bit strange to say it, but we almost are like mirrored copies of each other. Like I actually sometimes say when I'm talking to clients, I'm just trying to imagine that I look like Dad so I can say the things that he would say. And so I think from like a growth point of view, from going from a teenager to someone that does actually own a business, it all just came through very naturally because we were just trying to emulate what our dad had done.
Yeah.
And I think it was one of those things where the actual job itself is very easy. Being a business owner is very difficult as we're coming to learn, managing people, managing business finances, all of that is just a challenge in of itself. But I mean, we're so blessed that our dad is here to help. And so I think if anyone is in this, mindset of, oh, should I leave it to my kids or how do I succeed? It's just walk with them. There's no point in having it, be this transaction where, all right, kids, it's time, it's yours. Where's my money? It takes time. It takes planning. It takes, a bit of commitment. And I think that comes from both kind of ends.
To add to that a little bit, I always remember the first day Ben started with me, and he kind of mentioned it quickly, but the way I used to do reviews was the way I was taught to do reviews.
Yeah.
Right. And it used to take, honestly, about 2 weeks of the month to prepare all the review schedules, do all the things that I thought we had to do to service our clients well. So Ben comes along, and that was his job. Ben, you're doing the reviews. So after a few days, Ben's deep into the reviews, and he's like, Dad, why are you doing it this way? I said, I don't know, it's just the way we do it. He said, can I show you a better way? And I'm like, and at that point, I was faced with a crossroad, and I was either going to take I'm the boss, I'm the dad, you do what I say, right? Or I had to bite my pride and say, sure, why don't you show me a better way? And looking back, that was so pivotal, because if I went the other direction and said, no, you do it my way, he would not have taken ownership. But I said, sure, show me a better way. Within a couple of days, he said, all right, Dad, this is how we're going to do the reviews from now on, if it's okay. And he presses the enter key, right? And I said, what's next? And he goes, that's it, we're all done. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, I just bulk emailed all the clients, inviting them for a review, because as it turns out, not all our clients wanted a review. It was, I assumed they did, right? So I was over-servicing massively. But what it did, I realized at that point how competent Ben was in terms of IT and systems and processes and the way his brain works. I thought he could be my greatest asset. And sure enough, that's what's happened. And it's created, between him and me, they've created an incredibly automated, smart, efficient business.
Yeah.
Just add context to that situation as well. It wasn't just, hey, here's a project and I'm super motivated. I actually went to do my first review call with a client. Mind you, my first job was at Domino's Pizza. So I was used to taking some pretty difficult phone calls,
Correct.
Mate, there's too much pepperoni on this, blah, blah, blah. But I had the list of clients, it took half a day to get the list and get all their schedules. And I mean, at this point, I had to even familiarize myself with, how does life insurance work? How does, TPD work? All these things. And I called this client, and I didn't realize, but on a note on his file, it said, do not call after 1 p.m.
Yeah.
And I thought that's a bit of a weird thing, but it's 1:05. It shouldn't make too much of a difference. Turns out he's an overnight truck driver, and I had just settled into his afternoon sleep. And so I got a very, very warm welcome from him, to say the least. There was definitely some curse words thrown around at me.
That's right.
And I kind of just had to sit there and take it, and it's funny, I literally have the image in my head of me holding one of the old, like home phone looking things, and I was literally shaking. I vividly remember it, and I remembered hanging up that phone call and thinking, what the heck have I gotten myself into? Like, I'm not going to enjoy this job.
I always remember that client. He was one of our toughest clients. He's a hard truck driver, kind of mean, kind of grumpy all the time. And sure enough, later on, his claim story was fascinating because he was driving his truck. His truck stalled across a train line. And the train hit his truck. So he had PTSD and couldn't drive a truck again. So we got an incredible claim paying for him, as it turns out. And that was really nice to us.
Amazing. Yeah.
So I think it made me realize that if, this is the first time, I'm sure it's going to happen again. So how can I kind of, mitigate a lot of the stress and anxiety that might come along with a lot of the things that we're going to have to do in this job? And it just kind of progressed from there. But it really was just the freedom that Dad kind of afforded me. And then later when Mia came, I think without that, I'd just be at a desk, and it'd be like working for a Big Four bank. It'd just be a clock in, clock out. Thanks for my pay, Dad. See you later. And we probably wouldn't be sitting here, to be honest, if that first few months didn't go the way that they went. It really set the stage for it all.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Mia's first week?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Do you want me to talk about this, or do you want to tell the story?
You can tell it from your perspective.
Are you sure?
Okay, let's hear Mia's perspective first. How was the first week?
Okay, so as I said before, I studied something completely different at uni. So coming into the financial services industry, I was like, wow, this really is a whole different world.
So what did you study?
So I studied communication.
Okay.
Yeah, so quite a different world. But in my first, I think it was, my first week of work, we sort of got notification of a potential claim. And this poor client had a triple bypass. And his wife rang us up and said, I think we've potentially got a claim here. Can you help us out? And within sort of a matter of weeks, Dad and I were out at their place up in the Northern Beaches. And I remember it was the first time I'd actually gone out and met a client in person. So I was really, really quite nervous. And Dad...
do you remember the situation?
You can tell that side of it if you like.
Okay, sorry to interrupt, but their situation was, he was a self-employed guy. He had a triple bypass. His business shut down overnight because if he doesn't work, he doesn't get paid. And we walked into their house, and the house was in a mess because it was half renovated. They were very financially stressed. We got there about 2:00 in the afternoon. By 2:30, the kids had come in from school. Cute three little kids, and anyway, they were really struggling. Like, they had no certainty of the future. But I had a secret weapon sitting in my envelope. And we went through everything, and I said, and they were really in tears about their financial situation. They were really battling, and anyway, I slid an envelope across the table, and the wife's opened it up, and it was a check for $560,000. And they're like, they couldn't believe it. It really, literally saved their family, or they saved their business. It was just a blessing. So that was Mia's. I was looking at Mia's face, and she was astounded. Like, she really didn't know what we did in our business. She thought I did superannuation, or I don't know what she thought we did, but then I think she felt the power of what we can do for clients when they take our advice and things go wrong.
Yeah.
It saved them.
It's always the first claim, right? So obviously I've had my own first claim that I helped someone receive the funds fund, and after that claim, your perspective on insurance just changes totally. And we hope that people don't have to go through the claim, because it's a tough situation. But if anyone had to go through such a situation, they should get a claim. So I can imagine for you as well, it's like, yep, what was that? So what was running through your mind there, Mia, when she opened that envelope and she saw the money?
I think that's what really locked me into the industry. Once I saw, this poor lady absolutely in tears over this, and just seeing how that really saved their family and changed their lives, I thought, wow, everything that was sort of had knowledge and all just very much theory, I saw it live and in practice. So it was just the coolest experience ever. It's definitely something I'll never forget. And that was, I guess, yeah, the reason why I wanted to stick in the industry.
Yeah.
Man, oh, you're running a claims business, so it must have stuck in your brain.
Yeah.
Didn't it?
What year was that?
That was 2018, right at the
2018.
beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. I think the key thing I'm hearing from this, especially in regards to few things you did, is you knew from the start that you wanted to get the kids involved.
Pretty sneaky, huh? No, look, this business it's about passion. You got to be so passionate about it, because who wants to talk about death and disability all week, but that's what we do. And it's it's a tough old business, and but the passion for it comes from those checks, from that money we help people with. And so I was it's just the timing was perfect for us.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. As I said, you started with the end in mind, which is amazing.
Mm.
So a question from Mia. So, how can you, or rather, what have you done to just prepare for more responsibilities that just come naturally, especially when dealing with claims? I think claims is a hard part to deal with, because look, we've dealt with a few before, and like there was one client, he just didn't understand that actually we're calling the providers every day to ensure what's needed, what you need. This person needs money in the bank. So some people don't understand that. Some people get it, So to me, that's probably one of the hardest part of the jobs. How have you prepared for that? How does it feel?
I think similar to what Ben was saying before, I think sort of just trying my best to humble myself and really mirror what I saw my dad doing was the most helpful thing. Seeing the way that dad handled claims and just his like real care and compassion for clients in these situations. It was something that I guess tried to emulate. And I think probably one thing that I've really admired that my dad has done, and something that I also try to do, is we're not just there to help them get the claim through. Like, as much as that is our job, I've seen how dad really gets alongside these people who are in sort of the darkest times in their lives, really, and really gets alongside them and helps them and walks them through these really tricky situations. So trying to emulate that has been, I guess, one thing, but maybe from more of like a holistic sort of business transition, I'd say, as I was saying before, like it's been a soft transition for us, but I think it's because dad very kindly allowed us to like go with him to meetings, sit down with clients, listen to him, workshop different strategies with each other. That was so helpful in this whole piece. I think that taught me a lot.
Okay. Nice. So Sophia's out there. You want to try to get your kids involved? Soft approach.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah. Start with the end in mind.
Yeah. Ben, what about from your perspective? How was that transition? What have you done to prepare yourself? Because I know you give advice in the firm, and look, some of us have opinions of how the industry is just, as I'll say, developed over the few years. So what have you done to?
I think Mia actually probably put this very nicely when we were having a conversation recently, and she explained to someone that in our business, now that dad has kind of stepped back, is that I'm kind of the brains and she's the heart. And it's this weird kind of to and fro where even when you're dealing with a client or you're dealing with an accountant or a tax bill or a staff member or anything like that, there's this logical part of my brain that immediately kicks into gear. And from that perspective, I found it very easy to come into owning a business. Like my brain just works very, logically. It can tick the boxes. It can go through things like what you kind of have to be in a business, right? You have to be regimented. Certain things have to get done. Where that falls short though, Mia picks it straight back up. I might, be having a conversation with a referral partner and I'll look at it, facts, figures, this is our process, selling us. And Mia will start telling a conversation about baking a cake or something. And then all of a sudden, no one cares about what I have to say. They just love talking to Mia.
Yeah, but then they become better business partners. Okay.
Exactly. And like a lot of people say to us, like, because both Mia and I can advise, and they say, well, why do you go to meetings together? That's a waste of resources and time. And we say, well, it's not really, because we complement each other so well. And so I think from this responsibility perspective is I feel like I get to share it. And so I don't feel like I have this huge weight on my shoulders. And it's funny because in reality, our business supports 3 families. it supports our twin siblings and our mum and dad. It supports Mia and her husband, and it supports me and my wife. And so if it was just me, I think that would be a really difficult thing to adjust and go through, and to kind of walk on that alone. But knowing how well we complement each other and how well we allow ourselves to be who we are, I think is just so easy. I think if we tried to be people we weren't, we would very much struggle. But I think it's just been I don't want to say it's been an easy transition, because there has definitely been adjustments, and there's I don't know, it's weird. I'm actually a lot more proud of what we do now that I own our business, as opposed to just working in it. So I think from that perspective, and from a client relying on us, there's no more fail safe. Dad's here, but he's not really here anymore. His name's not on the renewal that gets sent to them. It's our name.
Yeah.
And so I think from that, there's a bit more weight, and I feel the responsibility of that. But in every other way, I think it's been just a very pleasant time.
Yeah.
And I hope it stays that way.
I think I look, from one thing I've just picked up, I think all of you are just so emotionally mature to, just allow everyone be who they are, but at the same time help each other and complement. I think it's very powerful to understand, okay, well, I'm the logic, and sometimes the logic doesn't work, and then the heart needs to come in, and the heart understands sometimes, okay, I need some logic. I just think that's amazing.
Yeah. So it's funny how things worked out. I mean, for 30 years, I've been talking to small business owners about the importance of succession planning, and isn't it funny what happened? And so we started the process, and straight away I started planting the seed of, one day this will be your business, guys. So take ownership in it, in your decisions and everything. And it isn't funny. 4 years ago, when I fell off a ladder. I fell off a ladder of things, and that started the actual process of succession, which brought it forward, a lot sooner than I actually thought I was going to. But so I had an accident at home, of all things, and I'm a sparky by trade, so I know how to use ladders. But this particular morning, I was up a ladder, and the ladder slipped, and I've come down really hard, broke some ribs, broke my foot. I tore my shoulder to shreds. I needed surgery.
All the while, Mia and I were laughing.
They were literally laughing at me, and I really thought I was paralyzed. I could not move. I thought it was all over.
Mind you, we didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And what ended up happening is it affected me so much, the surgeries and especially the medication. It stopped me from really, working at the same capacity as I was before, in terms of being switched on all the time. I was a bit foggy. I just wasn't into it. And sure enough, these two kids, they were pretty well forced to step up. So all the stuff that we had prepared for literally came to fruition. And this is the stuff I've been talking to my clients about. This stuff can happen.
Yeah.
And one day you're on cloud, you're flying high, and the next minute you're in a hospital bed, and it just happens instantly. And if you're not prepared, you're going to have a real problem. So it was almost like the succession was kind of forced upon us as well. And it just seemed to work out for us, and so I'm very grateful for it. So thank you, kids, for stepping up like the way you did.
Well, I think that whole situation brought to light a couple of things for us. I mean, the first was that it showed that if Mia and I weren't in the picture, I don't even really want to think about what our business would have looked like. But seeing how Dad's a white collar guy, his time is spent on a phone and driving to see clients, how a ladder fall, which his arm's in a sling, you would think, oh, you can take calls, you can use a keyboard. It's not the case. He literally couldn't sleep, couldn't talk to clients, could barely talk to us about long-term business planning. So without Mia and I as actual staff members, I don't know what our business would look like. And I think to us, that really just strengthened this idea of, look, things can go wrong. No one has a crystal ball. And what we actually do has a lot of bearing in.
You know what happens usually in say in a business situation like ours, where the owner and the leader, something happens health wise, and they just literally can't lead anymore. The staff get really shaky traditionally, and they either slacken off or they leave, because they're worried about their futures as well, which is fully understandable. Hence the importance of succession planning. If something happens, staff, this is what I need you to do, and this will be the outcome. So it's so critically important.
Yeah.
I don't know if
you
this
can
is
lose it all on the spot.
Yeah, I don't know if this is worth mentioning or not as well, but it probably correlated to around about the same time, maybe a little bit after. But we read a lot, and there's a really wonderful book written by a guy, Bill Perkins. It's called Die with Zero.
Oh yeah.
And it sounds
I've read it.
incredibly morbid, but it's essentially all about, once you've made certain decisions in life and you've reached a certain age and you've reached some level of financial freedom or financial success, a lot of people get very protective over that. And they get very scared that it's going to run out. And we see it in business owners a lot where they're 65, 70, 75, and they just cannot seem to let go of their business. And we immediately think, oh, well, I don't know how you have the energy to be in it at the level that you have. But it was this notion that once you know what's enough, when you know what your number is, and I don't know if you wrote about this in your book or not, Victor, or if you can speak on it, but once you kind of know what you need to live off and you can project that out, the answer to when or how becomes very clear.
Yeah.
And so I think for Dad is, although his ladder fall is what prompted us to step up in a daily sense, from a long-term level, he kind of knew that the business was at a point where the right person could take it and he would be okay.
Yeah, it freaks me out when I see business owners that have progressed. They've got a successful business, but it seems that at that point, that's when they double down and they get into a lot more debt to expand and whatever else. And I think if you keep moving the goalposts of life or business, trying to believe what you think success looks like, and you leverage yourself up with debt, gosh, you're exposed. It's crazy. So again, I was so blessed, no leverage, no debt. And when it finally happened, which I'd spoken to thousands of clients about over the years, it seemed to work out, and and just what Ben said, knowing when enough is enough and knowing when to stop is so important. But also having the ability to know that at any point in time, once you reach that level, you can turn it off, and you're going to be okay financially. Man, it's the best feeling in the world. It's freedom, it's a sense of freedom, and you start making better business decisions because you're not bound by a bank or a lender or things like that. You've got total freedom, and it's an incredible feeling.
Yeah.
So people plan.
Yeah, very, very
Listen to
important.
Victor.
Yeah. I think I read the book as well. So yeah, definitely a very good book. And the way I always tell clients is, because I think there's a balance, and he said that in the book as well, but it's not all about emotional dividends, as he says. Yes, you want to go on a trip, yes, you want to enjoy a few things, but you need to balance that. And when it comes to our succession planning as well, very critical, just know, okay, when should you pass on something, regardless of whatever the outcome is. It's almost being content, but still striving to do a lot better. So I think there's that balance.
I think where people get confused is the purpose they find in their business. Okay, they can find that elsewhere in life after they sell their business or after they're succeeded out. It's a big wide world, and there's so many people to help and so many cool things to do. Think outside your business.
Yeah.
Don't think that's the be all and end all. And I've had clients say to me, I'll die behind this desk, or I'll die behind the wheel of a truck. Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, don't do it.
Yeah. So, Mia, a question for you. I think you've chosen to run the claims department, and I think that's amazing. I think it's one of the hardest departments to run. So how have you helped clients there? What exactly does that look like from a day-to-day session?
Sure. Well, I think first and foremost, so one piece of great advice that Dad always gave us was advise the client as if they're going on claim tomorrow. And that always really stuck with me. And so I guess the reality or the potential of a client claiming tomorrow is always very much front of mind. And so as soon as you get that phone call saying that something terrible has happened, something really kicks in. And I think, again, having watched Dad handle so many amazing claims, as I said before, you just see this real sense of care and compassion kick in. And I think it's so much more about, really being there for the client and holding their hand and walking them through this really dark season of their life, more so than it is about getting their paperwork in. As much as that's, of course, a part of it, I think you can really help counsel people at such a terrible time in their lives. But on, I guess, more of a practical level, a couple of years ago, we sort of noticed that we were pouring so much of our heart and our time into claims. And I think if you're a good advisor and you really, really love your clients and you care deeply for them, I think it wouldn't be uncommon for claims to keep you up at night when you really, really care about, getting them paid and seeing these people's lives change. So we sort of took a step back, and I know there's been a lot of other advisors and peers who have spoken into this and really helped us to come up with a really good, process around the way we handle claims. But we've actually got a separate business called Keyman Claims that allows us to handle all sorts of claims, from income protection, really simple, easy claims, to really, really hard, high-level TPD claims, and actually allows us to charge a fee for that service because, as I said before, so much time and emotion gets poured into these claims, to the point where, like I said, there's been so many sleepless nights worrying about these claims and just really wanting to get them paid for these people. So I guess in a sense it's great to be rewarded for those efforts, but it's also, I guess, diversified our income streams. And it's a nice backup. I know so many advisors are so concerned with the future of commissions and everything, and I think this is a really nice ethical way to have a backup, if that makes sense. So yeah, love claims will always forever be my passion, and I'm always happy to help any of my friends with any tricky claims. So.
Yeah. And you mentioned and you set it up. You put that really well. I think once you care about a client and you've been paying the premiums, you definitely want to get them that claim. It's very important to see that they get something. So good on you. So I guess we'll jump into selling or keeping the business. So I think, Terry, this one will be for you. How should business owners decide if they should sell or keep it in the family? I think that's one tricky question people.
Well, I guess, like I said before, when you own a small business, and if you're a small business owner, you know that it consumes you. I spent so much time away from my kids and missed a lot of them growing up because of my business. So I poured my heart and soul into it, and it has to pay off at some point. Why do we do it all? To provide a better life. As it turns out, what I should have done is had a better balance, right? So, but unfortunately, I think if you do have the option, if you do have children and you're that passionate about your business and you've worked your butt off to build this thing, I mean, you're only faced with two choices, or maybe three choices. Number one is a process of exit that you can control, or it's a forced exit due to health, or you sell the business. That's the third. So selling the business, especially in financial services, the clients become like your family, don't they? They truly do. Like this, I think for me, selling a book of business, we call it a book of business, which is actual people, it's not very cool. It's like, I promised you all this stuff and now I'm just going to sell you for money, and it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit right with me ethically. So I was very blessed to have the kids come in. If you do have children and you're that passionate about your business, whatever it may be, if it becomes an option, try. But particularly the kids have to want to do it as well, of course. But faced with a sale or handing it to your children, man, if I could be a great granddad one day and it might be another generation that comes along, and how proud will I be? And some great businesses in the world have been created through intergenerational transfers. As long as you keep the ethics and the value system going, flowing throughout it all, and it doesn't all become about money, and you never lose your heart for the business, I think what a great legacy to leave. Really, if you think long term, it's the ultimate, really. Handing your business to your children, all that hard work, it was for them, and now it is for them. Now they can stand on my shoulders, and I've left something that they can just multiply.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, so I'm definitely on the same page that as much as you can, you want to pass that on to the next generation. It's almost a comforting thing for the times you're not there for them, and as you said, there's balance, right? Which is hard to get that balance from time to time.
Maybe sometimes business owners, they get that that stressed out about business, they think there's no way in the world I want my kids to do what I want to do,
Yeah.
what I've been doing. And but if you love what you do like I did, well, to me, why would you do anything else, kids? You should do this because it's a great career and it's an incredible business. So why not?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so I think the key thing, as I said, is just planning early, like you knew from the start. Yep, trying to pass this on to the kids. Yeah. While as for some people that may not have kids, like, well, you have to sell.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. That might be your only option,
yeah.
and that would hurt. That would hurt after all that work. So you better make it pay off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Ben, question for you. I think business owners as well, sometimes funding for like a buyout or succession planning is something they think about. Do you have any suggestions for them? Do you have any thoughts? How have you navigated that?
Yeah, sure. I think it was one of those things where we did actually go back and forth on this for a little while, because obviously having exposure to clients who have gone through this process, businesses big and small, we've kind of seen the different ways that you can go about it. And we definitely learned from it. And you're in this weird position where all of a sudden a family business, like as much as you don't want it to, there has to be some level of transaction.
Yeah.
Like you do actually have to appreciate that 30 years of hard work does actually have to manifest as a market value. It can't be, hey kids, I'll sell you this business for $1. And it's like, all right, dad, like sure, shake hands, pat on the back. And as much as you want it to be like that, there has to be some form of an agreement or a formal agreement, right? How you fund that or how you actually buy that business, there's so many different options out there, right? You can go to a bank and say, hey, Mr. Bankman, I need X amount of millions of dollars to give my dad. And he can say, sweet, I've got my money. You can kind of deal with that problem. You can vendor finance it, which is what we ended up doing. You can, fund it out of business cash flow. There's a bunch of things you can do. But I think for us, we'd actually originally settled on this nice little half-half. It's like, all right, dad, we'll go to the bank, we'll borrow some money. Here's a nice check. And then we'll vendor finance the rest. You can sleep easy at night. We can bear a bit of the risk. But the more that we got thinking about it and the more we went down this rabbit hole of going through this process, we just kept thinking to ourselves, like, why are we paying a bank so much money when I could just be giving you that money?
Yeah.
And I think from dad's perspective is that he had to have a lot of trust in us as his kids, but also a lot of trust that we cared for our business. And so I do understand that that's not an option for everybody, because there is definitely some level of risk that you have to take as the exiting party in that. But again, I think it actually stems from that question that you just asked Dad about, should you sell it or should you pass it on to your kids?
Yeah.
Is your kids have to want it. If they come into it thinking that I'm expected to take this over, or there's just some level of, hesitation to it, you're not going to be as committed to, we talk a lot about legacy, and we want to make sure that Dad's legacy continues. And the way that we kind of do that is by almost having this commitment to him that, all right, Dad, we're going to look after you for a pretty long period of time.
The reality is when it comes to business succession, if you just sit back, right, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
There's no set way to do this. Some people think I've just got to sell the business and get the maximum price for it. Well, no, maybe not. You got to think outside the box. So we sat back and we looked at all the different options, and we just came together and thought, well, there's a way to do this without these kids that took over my business paying a bank, 8 or 10% interest a year. I hate debt. I absolutely hate it. So to put my kids in debt, it just didn't feel right. After all that work, and there's no need for it. And if I was confident enough in the business that we'd built and confident enough in these kids, and don't forget, in the contracts, you can put whatever you want in there. So I call them God clauses. I got added into the contract. So because I am essentially the bank, I still want some form of control over the business. And the way I did it was because these guys are young in business. I don't want anybody taking advantage of them. Correct. So there's little things like there's fail safes. For instance, if they had to make any major decisions, and we've got a number around that, they have to run it past me. The books have to be open and transparent whenever I want to see them. Right? So there's lots of ways. It doesn't have to be a traditional work your butt off, sell your business if you're lucky, right? Plan it out, because I think most people, there's a way, there's a middle ground where For instance, say you own a cafe, there might be a way that you don't have to purely sell the thing. You might be able to bring somebody in as an equity partner. There's so many different options.
Yeah.
But you need I can tell you now, you need a team. You need a very good accountant, which we found. Thank you to Ben Amir. Brilliant accountant. And from day one, he was on board and just happy to help out. We've got a very good solicitor who, again, he's not fixed in his ways. He's got a very growth-focused mindset where, we just talk these things out and throw options around. And then, of course, the most important thing is, I think it's really important that you seek wisdom. Even at age 56, I still seek wisdom from people that we know in MDRT, for instance, people that have built incredibly large businesses. Seek wisdom, but then don't be so prideful as to try and do it all yourself.
Correct.
Seek wisdom. It's there. Don't go through the errors. You pretty well get one crack at business succession. So make sure you seek wisdom and learn.
Amazing.
It's funny, Victor, the logic part of it, and again, this is why my brain lends so nicely, is kind of easy when you're going through a succession plan, right? It's what's the value of the business? Thankfully, in our industry, it's very easy to value a business. Okay, how does the math check out? What's the calculations? All right, sweet, done, taken care of, easy. What's difficult though is the psychology behind it all.
Yeah.
I had a really good discussion with a potential client recently, and they were at this point. He'd been in the business for 20 years, helped grow it. It's very easy to put a value on it. All was going to go nice and easy. But the majority owner of that business couldn't imagine a day where he didn't have his routine of driving to the office and doing what he'd done for 30 years. But he wanted to sell it. He just couldn't get to this point where he could let go in a strange way. And the advice that I kind of gave him was, look, when you're talking to this other owner, ask him, what does his perfect day look like? Because there is a way that you can build that into your succession plan. Our dad is very involved in MDRT, which you're a part of. And as a part of our deal, we said, we're going to keep funding you to go to MDRT for the rest of your life. Like, there's so many different ways that you can contribute.
It's that
and stay relevant.
It all comes down to everyone wants something, and the owners, you can provide them with their want, they can provide their wants. The deal is made. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it has been an amazing 1 hour, that we've been discussing so far. So final question is, how can people reach out? So if you think about, I need to get my Keyman Financial Services, insurances and everything done, or I need to get my claims done, how can they reach out to you people? What's the best way?
Yeah, gosh.
Our website.
TikTok.
Great stuff.
But definitely not TikTok. Definitely not TikTok. No, not at all. You can feel free to reach out to our office in any way that's easy.
Yeah.
We have a wonderful team always on the phones, ready to answer. Because we're 21st century millennials, everything's done via email and text these days, I feel like. But no, I think it's just, we never want business from people. We genuinely just like talking to people. And so even if it's hey, I run a specialty Polish breakfast shop, talk to us about that. Whatever it is, run it past us at any time. We're happy to chat through any scenario.
So website, that's the best way.
Yeah.
And that's just Keyman Financial.
KFS.net.au, not to be mistaken with KFC.
Easy way to remember, KFS.
Yep. Yeah, that shows the four different businesses. Oh, we've got 3 businesses and a missions giving business page there as well. So we support a heap of missions in our business.
Amazing.
There. And we want people to go to there first so they know our heart, so.
Or get in touch with you, Victor, and you can just send us all your business.
Pretty much, yeah. So now, look, when we get people on the guest, if you're finding it hard to reach them, get in touch with me. I'll definitely pass on your contact details, which is good. Yeah.
Thank you, Victor. You're so kind. Thank you.
Not a problem. So thanks for tuning into this amazing session. I'm so glad we could get a live family in, talk about business succession planning, because then people know that it can be done. And, as Terry said, you always want to start with the end in mind. So please start planning. And if you're 20 years into business and you hadn't started that, you were not thinking or haven't done anything about that, it's not too late. So get in touch if you need help. I'm a financial advisor as well. But if you want to speak to the Keyman Financial Services, please reach out. We'll pass your details on to that. Share this podcast with anyone who you think will benefit from it. Get in touch.